As we get closer to 2024 kickoff, we continue our team previews, and this week we're headed to Columbus. After losing to Michigan 3 years in a row, could it finally be Ohio State's time? The Buckeyes return an awe-inspiring roster, including transfer quarterback Will Howard, running back Quinshon Judkins, and a top 5 incoming recruiting class. Ohio State, as a result, has the second shortest odds to win the national championship, behind only Georgia, anywhere from plus 430 to plus 325. So with that, let's welcome in the Ohio State expert himself, Dave Biddle. And let's start with this quarterback room that is absolutely loaded. Several names I could list off here, but the big ones are Will Howard transferring in from K-State, and then the freshman Julian Sayin transferring from Alabama. From what you've seen at spring practice, Dave, how do you expect the quarterback battle to shake out?
Yeah, Grace, I'll be very surprised if Will Howard is not the starting quarterback. He finished spring a little bit ahead of Devin Brown. He started the spring game, and I'd be really surprised if Ryan Day had brought Will Howard here and not given him maybe some behind-the-scenes assurance that unless you really screw this up, you're going to be our guy. They're still going to push this competition into camp, no doubt about that. Just like last year, I anticipate Ryan Day will not name a starter until a few weeks before the season. In fact, he didn't even name Kyle McCord like the full-time starter till like entering the second week of the season last year. But he named him the starter for the opener a few weeks before the season. I anticipate a couple weeks before the opener against Akron that Ryan Day will name Will Howard the starting quarterback. And I don't think he's going to couch it that he's just going to start the first game and they're going to play multiple guys. So I do think Will Howard's going to be the guy. I think he's going to keep the job. And Grace, I think he's going to play well. And I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but he doesn't need to be. He needs to play well. If he plays well, this Ohio State team can go very far.
And, of course, quarterback play depends on the line in front of him. At this point last year in the summer, offensive line was one of the glaring weaknesses for this Ohio State team. Not so much this year. They have 4 returning starters, and I know, Dave, you're a big believer in the improvement in this line this year. What do you like about them?
Yeah, I definitely think they'll be improved, but it's still my biggest question mark on this team because you can't find too many more. I mean, quarterback, you could argue that's a question mark because we're still not 100% sure who's going to be the starter. And like we were just talking about, how good is Will Howard going to be? I think he's going to be good, but we don't know how good he's going to be. Offensive line's my biggest question mark. And they're sneaky veteran. They'll have a trio of third-year starters and 2 second-year starters. Carson Hinsman, assuming he'll be the right guard, will be his second-year starting overall. He was a starting center last year, but they're bringing Seth McLaughlin in from Alabama, who was a 2-year starter there at center. Had some snapping issues last year. I was watching him close during spring, didn't see any snapping issues from him, so Seth McLaughlin will be the starting center. So, yeah, I have no doubt it'll be improved, but to what degree? Can it be national championship caliber? I think the offensive line will be more than fine against most of the teams on their schedule. But when they play those big boys, how's this offensive line going to be? But, left to right, you're going Josh Simmons will be a third-year starter, Donovan Jackson, third-year starter, Seth McLaughlin in the middle, third-year starter, and then you're going Carson Hinsman, second-year starter, and then Josh Fryer, second-year starter. So it will be improved. Again, Grace, we'll see to what degree.
Let's move to the defensive side of the ball now, where Ohio State was one of the best in the country. Now they bring in Caleb Downs, a transfer from Alabama, who PFF graded as the top safety in the SEC. So what could his presence do for this Buckeye secondary?
Yeah, everybody's excited about him. He looked the part, and you talk to this young man, he exudes football. He's quietly confident and humble at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like he's just he's just a very intriguing young man. And to go to Alabama as a true freshman, to lead that team in tackles with over 100 as a true freshman. And I know it wasn't Saban's best team, but it wasn't a joke of a team. They made the playoffs. They won the SEC title. So very impressed with this young man. I think he's going to come right in. There's no doubt he's going to be the starting free safety alongside starting strong safety Lathan Ransom. And I think he's going to have a big year right away. And this is a kid. I'll be surprised. I know it's tough for a safety to go in the first round. I'll be surprised if we're not sitting here in the 2026 draft not talking about Caleb Downs being a first-round pick. He's that talented.
Looking ahead to the end of the season, we have the playoff expanding to 12 teams. In the Big Ten, there are no longer divisions, and Ohio State is the favorite to win it. How do all these changes kind of affect the outlook for the Buckeyes season this year?
Yeah, it's interesting. They have a easy non-conference slate and a very interesting intra-conference slate. You have to go to Oregon. They've never played there. Tough place to play. That's going to be a heck of an interesting game. And Grace, you have the sidebar of Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly obviously made his name at Oregon, at first as offensive coordinator, then head coach. So you have Ohio State going to Autzen Stadium for the first time against the team. So Ohio State and Oregon are, of course, the two favorites to win the Big Ten. So and right now, Oregon's a slight favorite over Ohio State. So that's a heck of an interesting game. And then, you can't really call it, I guess, a 3-game regular season because, Iowa, a lot of people are picking Iowa as the 5th best team in the Big Ten. Ohio State has to play them as well. But then if they get past Iowa, then it's Oregon at Penn State. That's never an easy trip for Ohio State. Yeah, James Franklin's 1-9 against Ohio State. I get that, but it's never easy for Ohio State when they have to go to Happy Valley, especially if the game's at night in whiteout conditions. And then, of course, Michigan here in Columbus. Those are the 3, maybe 4 games you can really point to. And those are 3/4 like big-time games there. So it's basically a 4-game regular season for Ohio State. If you count Iowa here in Columbus, if you don't count Iowa, that's a 3-game regular season.
Yeah, things are not getting easier for Ryan Day, but it will definitely be an exciting season ahead. Dave Biddle, thanks so much. And for more Ohio State football and recruiting news and analysis, check out bucknuts.com.